Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
You could be in for some sticker shock when your utility bill arrives this month. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. San Diego Gas and Electric says natural gas prices are spiking, and they're passing that cost on to customers. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson breaks down the numbers.
Soaring commodity prices are expected to more than double the natural gas bills for SDG&E customers. Last year's typical bill in January was $105. Those using the same amount of gas this year will be billed $225. The utility's Helen Gao says most of that price hike is out of the utility's control.
So SDG&E buys the natural gas in the open market on behalf of our customers, and the price that we pay for that natural gas is not marked up. It's a straight pass-through to our customers.
SDG&E started talking about rising rates in October, but the utility did not expect the cost of the commodity to rise so high. Gao credits a number of factors.
In January, people tend to use a lot more natural gas than in the rest of the year because it's colder, and that's true also in the rest of the country. So you're seeing higher demand in general, and supplies are tight. So basic economic supply and demand.
Futures markets for natural gas suggest the price for the commodity is declining, and that could ease the pressure on the utility's more than 800,000 customers who have a gas hookup.
At the end of this month, we'll publish the natural gas rate for next month, and that's all based on market conditions. It's just been really extraordinary in terms of how high the natural gas market has gone over the last year.
Gao says natural gas prices are also driving up the cost of electricity. Average bills are expected to climb $25 a month to reflect the high natural gas prices. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
One day after a jury found that the San Diego County Public Defender Office wrongfully fired him in 2020, a former deputy public defender says he hopes the verdict sparks change. KPBS's Amita Sharma has more.
I had faith that the community would see what had happened and they would agree with us.
When Zach Davines speaks of the community, he's talking about the 12-member jury and its finding Monday that the public defender's office fired him because of his gender expression and for complaining about what he believed were racist comments from a supervisor toward a Black Latino colleague. But he concedes that his confidence was laced with anxiety. The verdict in Davines' favor allowed him to finally exhale. It was, in his words, a calming balm.
12 perfect strangers, right? 12 completely random folks chosen from all over the county stood up and said, no, this is not right. They cannot get away with it.
The jury awarded Davina a total of $2.6 million, $640,000 in lost wages, and $2 million for emotional suffering. Davina had alleged that supervisors chided him for telling an LGBTQ panel that the office had not always welcomed him and other gay people. He said he began hearing disparaging talk about his nail polish, hair, and pierced ears. His problems worsened when he asked that a supervisor receive diversity training and be demoted after she allegedly used the word lynch while reportedly berating a Black Latino lawyer in the office. That supervisor was part of Daviner's tenure review panel. Davina hopes his verdict encourages deputy public defenders still with the office to speak publicly on what they tell him privately about their current work environment.
Discrimination, harassment, a fear of retaliation. There is a culture of fear there that is so predominant that people who are trying to stand up for the clients and do the right thing for the clients are shut down.
In a statement to KPBS, San Diego County Public Defender Randy Mize called the verdict disappointing and said it does not align with the office's mission and values. Mize added, quote, "We will assess the verdict and appellate remedies." Davina's lawyer, Chris Ludmer, told KPBS Tuesday that the county can try for an appeal, but based on what jurors told him, Ludmer says an appeal will be futile.
One of the constant refrains was that the verdict wasn't even close. It wasn't close in their minds. They felt that practically all of the witnesses who testified on the county's behalf had serious credibility problems. In fact, several blatantly said they felt they were liars.
Early Tuesday morning, Public Defender Mize and the office's supervisors sent a note to deputy public defenders. It read in part, quote, "Our mission is too vital for us to be distracted or splintered. We are committed to a healthy, frank, and respectful dialogue in the creation of the best public defender's office we can be." Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
The college admissions consultant behind the Varsity Blues bribery scandal was sentenced today to 3.5 years in prison. Rick Singer was also ordered to pay $10 million in restitution to the IRS. Singer pleaded guilty back in 2019 to charges stemming from his scheme to get children of wealthy parents into USC, UCLA, and other top colleges. 2 Hollywood actresses and a former television executive from La Jolla were among dozens of parents who admitted to paying Singer hundreds of thousands of dollars. The drama on Capitol Hill continues tonight. The House is reconvening right now in an attempt to end the standoff over electing Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. It comes after 3 more failed votes earlier today. Chris Wynn has the latest from Washington.
On Capitol Hill, a party divided.
I nominate Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House.
Republican Representative Kevin McCarthy of California entering Congress Wednesday, still fighting for the speakership.
I need to get more votes, sir.
I said we're talking.
Has there been any progress?
The 118th Congress began Tuesday with infighting out in the open. McCarthy unable to clinch the Speaker's gavel after the first 3 rounds of voting.
A Speaker has not been elected.
Blocked by GOP hardliners.
They love gridlock, they love chaos, and that's what we see going on here.
President Joe Biden trying to stay out of the mess, but offering this perspective.
It's not a good look. It's not a good thing. It's the United States of America, and I hope they get their act together.
It's been a century since the last time a House Speaker election took multiple votes, when Republican Frederick Gillette of Massachusetts was elected after 9 ballots. This time around, some say the power struggle is about decentralizing the Speaker's office.
You're going to see a messy 2 years in Washington because everybody's going to get a say-so in a way that they haven't.
Former President Donald Trump coming to McCarthy's defense on social media just hours before the House reconvened, saying in part, Republicans do not turn a great triumph into a giant and embarrassing defeat. Chris Wynn, KPBS News.
Governor Newsom declared a state of emergency today ahead of heavy rain and possible flooding expected across the state. The distinction allows the state to cut through some of the red tape in coordinating with federal agencies. The governor's office says some resources are already positioned in known trouble spots. Northern California will get the first storm when it arrives tomorrow morning. Local beaches are due for some pounding surf as the new storm moves in. It's a damp and windy day at places like Mission Beach. Lifeguards and businesses are working to get things ready for what could be some significant waves and possible beach erosion. One person described how their family is trying to get in one more day of fun, even if city crews are already hard at work.
We have a whole plan. We made a list of beach activities. We're going to have an Olympics between the kids and the adults and do all sorts of relay races and sandcastle building.
And waves are expected to reach as high as 10 to 16 feet due to the upcoming storm. We will have more on the rain coming up in your complete forecast. And COVID and other illnesses are among the reasons for a shortage at blood banks. KPBS reporter Melissa May shows us an event to get more San Diegans to roll up their sleeves.
Winter is a tough time to get blood donations.
Coming out of the holidays, people are sick, unfortunately. The colleges and high schools that normally host blood drives are not hosting drives because they're still out for this season, and that accounts for about 20% of all the blood that we collect every year.
To try to make up for the shortfall, the San Diego Blood Bank staged blood drives at 7 San Diego County Credit Union locations across San Diego and in Costa Mesa.
There is no substitute. There's no synthetic substitute. The only chance that hospital patients who need it have are people coming in to donate blood.
While local hospitals currently have enough blood, the blood bank's Claudine Van Gonka says there's a national blood shortage, and the supply is low here in San Diego.
As of today, we're down to less than a day's supply of almost every type. But most importantly, while we do need all types, those O's are always so hard to collect, O positive and O negative.
1 pint of blood can save up to 3 people.
And that's because there's 3 components to a whole blood donation. There's red blood cells, there's platelets, and there's plasma. And each of those components can go into a different patient to help them.
It makes me feel good. It feels like what I'm doing matters.
Pamela Hansen has been donating blood for almost 40 years and has donated about 6 gallons of blood, and one donation was extra special.
A friend of mine had breast cancer when we were 40, and so I donated for her then, and they were able to use my donation in her surgery because she wanted to make sure she knew where the blood came from.
For those of you who may be a little nervous to donate,
just know that it is okay, and they've been doing this for a long time, and it's really safe.
There are some other things to know if you want to donate. You have to be at least 17 years old and 114 pounds. And if you've had COVID recently, you have to wait at least 10 days from your last symptoms. You can learn more at sandiegobloodbank.org. Melissa May, KPBS News.
President Biden says he will soon make his first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border since taking office. It will come during his trip next week to the North American Leaders Summit in Mexico City. And so far, there is no word on where along the border he will stop. The day San Diego's border communities have been waiting for is almost here. The pedestrian crossing at the San Ysidro port of entry, known as Ped West, is set to reopen next Monday. For now, it will resume limited hours of operation from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. The crossing was supposed to reopen back on December 21st, but it was postponed. Southwest Airlines is starting the year with a long to-do list as it admits it's going to take longer to reunite passengers with their lost luggage. Karen Kafa has a closer look.
New year, same issues? Southwest Airlines is dealing with several lingering concerns following the holiday travel meltdown that left thousands of people and their luggage stranded all over the country.
You want to be angry, but you know there's nothing you can do, and you're at their mercy.
Toya Martin says she's still waiting for Southwest to return all her items. As the airline said in an internal memo, many bags are still in limbo and will require several more days to reunite passengers with their lost items. Southwest is aiming to make amends for last week's cancellations that disrupted countless holiday plans. The airline now offering 25,000 frequent flyer bonus points worth about $300 in addition to reimbursements and refunds.
I think we're going to end up fixing this going forward.
The offer and the luggage update come as the airline faces a growing list of serious matters to tackle in 2023, including multiple investigations, heightened scrutiny from investors, and at least one lawsuit over its cancellation of nearly 16,000 flights at a peak holiday travel time. That travel chaos has some loyal customers questioning their trust in the airline.
I don't think I will ever use Southwest, and I love Southwest. I love Southwest, but this has been a nightmare.
And while Southwest appears to have recovered from those massive disruptions, some of its workers say the airline should focus on repairing the back-end infrastructure that contributed to the problems in the first place.
I'm definitely going to be pressing the company very hard on making sure things get fixed.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Karen Kafa.
If you're one of the millions of people waiting on a decision about student loan forgiveness, you'll have to wait quite a bit longer. The decision won't likely come before June, as the Supreme Court will hear legal arguments. About 26 million people have applied to the Department of Education, which would potentially forgive up to $20,000 in federal student debt. And in the meantime, the Biden administration has extended a pause on loan repayments again until the issue is resolved.
Stormy weather is on the way, and it looks like another round of heavy rain, powerful winds, and some high elevation snow coming on Thursday. So we're prepared for some flooding again as this latest atmospheric river slides down the California coast. After this, though, it should be tranquil for the weekend, but next week it looks like the wet pattern does continue. Now here's the setup. We have a powerful storm off the coast, a bomb cyclone. It's really getting intense, and it's dragging in the moisture, the atmospheric river, so that means heavy precipitation is on the way. Winds will be on the increase too. We have wind advisories. They continue through noon Thursday. Along the coast, we have gale warnings in effect. We also have high surf warnings and advisories. And along the coast, we also have a coastal flood advisory. Flood watches are out too, mainly up to the north and up in the higher train, up above 7,000 feet. Some of the mountains here could be looking at snow, so there are some winter advisories. Tonight, just a bit of rain, clouds around. Temperatures will be in the 50s, Ramona into the 40s, 30s at Mount Laguna. Now here it is, the atmospheric river, our powerful front, sweeping down the coast overnight. During the day tomorrow, the heavier rain shifts right across our area. So we'll see intense rain and some strong winds on the way. So it looks like a wet, cool day for us on Thursday. The rainfall amounts here could be on the order of 1 to 2 inches. It's all out of here on Friday as the drier air comes in. Here's a look at our forecast. Heavy morning rain along the coast on Thursday. After that, it's tranquil into the weekend. Inland areas cool with the rain, drying out on Friday. Here in the mountains, we'll see some rain, some gusty winds, snow levels up above 7,000 feet. And in the deserts, so we'll see a little afternoon rain on Thursday, and then quiet for the weekend. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Michael Cusick.
It's a week of ritual and remembrance at the Vatican. Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is lying in state for one more day before funeral services begin on Thursday. Cardinals, bishops, and political delegations are among those paying respects today. The former pope's body will be placed in a coffin and into a crypt, once occupied by Benedict's predecessor, Pope John Paul II. A pioneer of America's Apollo space program has died. Walter Cunningham passed away Tuesday. He was 90 years old. KPBS reporter John Carroll went to the San Diego Air and Space Museum to see how he's being remembered.
Ignition. We have ignition. Commit liftoff. We have liftoff.
That was the longest, it was the most ambitious, and the most successful first test flight of any new flying machine ever.
This NASA video, a tribute to Walt Cunningham, tells the story of the astronaut's career. The highlight was the Apollo 7 mission in October of 1968, the first Apollo mission to fly into space with a crew, where they conducted the first test of the command and service module. At San Diego's Air and Space Museum, you can see plenty of examples of important moments in the history of air and space travel, and you can see hundreds of portraits of the men and women who made those moments happen. On this wall of air and space luminaries, including well-known names like San Diego's Wally Schirra and Krista McAuliffe, there is in the middle an empty space. This is usually where you find the portrait of Walt Cunningham. His portrait is now being displayed close to the entrance of the museum, so people see this remarkable astronaut as soon as they walk in.
Walt was one of those pilots you would trust with your life anytime, anywhere. And that's the biggest compliment you can pay.
San Diego Air and Space Museum President and CEO Jim Kidrick was a close friend of Walt Cunningham. We interviewed him in front of the Apollo 9 capsule. Kidrick showed us several items of memorabilia with a connection to Cunningham. This folding seat strut from Apollo 7, signed by Cunningham, and this elaborate custom-made guitar, a tribute to all the Apollo missions, signed by a lot of people associated with those missions, including Walt Cunningham.
They didn't have the technology we carry in our pockets every day in our cell phone, and that is huge. So There is an expectation that we're going to do it bigger, better, faster, okay? But let me tell you, Walt Cunningham was one of those that he set the tone for the future.
The near future is the Artemis program that'll bring humans back to the moon. Artemis 1 completed its mission successfully last month. Artemis 3 is expected to put people on the lunar surface in 2025, the first crewed lunar landing since Apollo 17 in 1972. The entire program built on the know-how gained in those Apollo missions of long ago. For his many accomplishments, Walt Cunningham was inducted into the International Air and Space Hall of Fame in 2011. But for people who weren't around for the Apollo missions, I asked Kidrick what else folks should know about him.
He was always in good humor. He was just a great human being, okay? But when the mission required it, he was going to do it.
Or, to put it another way, Walt Cunningham had the right stuff. John Carroll, KPBS News.
It's a winter of war in Ukraine. San Diego's House of Ukraine has partnered with a humanitarian organization to bring holiday joy to children caught up in the conflict. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado has the story.
The season of giving is meaningful in Ukraine and spans through the Epiphany. This winter, they've been plagued by constant shelling, power outages, missing loved ones. Some have fled, others are fighting, and some have been killed, all a result of Russia's war.
And I think it's so important for Ukrainians right now who are celebrating these holidays without electricity, many of them without heat, many of them in bomb shelters, knowing that other people across the ocean care about them.
That care is being shown by a San Francisco-based nonprofit called Roots of Peace. The group's usual mission is to remove landmines and restore agricultural land. But after seeing the stories of children recovering in San Diego after losing their limbs in the war on Ukraine, they reached out to the House of Ukraine in Balboa Park.
We launched Christmas Miracle campaign, and it's been inspired actually by our families, Ivan and Stepanenko's, by civilian children who lost their legs in this war. And this is why stockings is a symbolic representation of helping Ukraine.
11-year-old Yana Stepanenko lost both of her legs in a missile attack in a train station in Ukraine. Her mother also lost a leg in the attack, and her grandmother was killed. 16-year-old Ivan Chaban lost his leg when a Russian tank attacked his family. His stepfather died in the same attack. The Christmas Miracle campaign, in their honor, is collecting small but priceless stocking stuffers like thermal blankets, thermal hand and feet warmers, emergency power banks, and flashlights, the types of things needed during power outages to keep warm and charge up phones.
This Christmas Miracle campaign is about sending a few items to Ukraine that are small but very valuable, and some of them can actually save lives.
Yana and Ivan are both thriving in San Diego. Ruben says she's impressed daily by Ivan's can-do spirit.
The progress he's made in the last few months has been incredible. And going through the surgery, second surgery, just how he handled the surgery, I mean, he's been an incredible kid.
Olena Horenko is Ivan's chaperone. She says when she calls loved ones back home, they end up comforting her. And she's always moved by the Ukrainian spirit.
Our people very optimistic, and you know, all time when I call to my family, to my friends, you know, they answer me, we are so happy, we have many work here. Yes, of course, we don't have electricity all time, but we have help from USA, from Europe. We have a lot of generation now. You know, everything working. Our people not cry. Sometimes I am crying. And they say, why you cry? All be good.
It's giving them hope and knowing that we Americans and the rest of the world stands with Ukraine and that we're supporting them.
I believe to Ukraine. I believe to our country. I believe to our people.
Чудеса самі по собі не трапляються. Miracle did not happen by itself.
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
And here's another look at today's top story. San Diego Gas and Electric is telling customers to brace for higher bills. That's especially true for natural gas prices, which could double this month compared to prices last year. A spokesperson says it's due to higher commodity prices and that prices could be lower next month as the natural gas market fluctuates. A former county public defender will receive more than $2.5 million after he lost his job in 2020. This week, the jury sided with Zach Davina. He says the supervisors retaliated his gender expression as a gay man and for the way he spoke up about alleged racist comments by a supervisor. The public defender's office tells KPBS it's disappointed with the verdict and is considering an appeal.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, Republicans fail to elect a House Speaker for a second straight day. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. NPR Morning Edition is keeping an eye on the storms moving into California. They'll have a report on potential flooding and power outages across the state. And what makes a city walkable? KPBS Midday Edition talks with city planner and author Jeff Speck about what cities can do to encourage zero-emission travel. And we want to end tonight with some amazing video. Whale watchers off of the coast of Dana Point spotted a gray whale, then watched it give birth right before their eyes. Video from Captain Dave's Dolphin and Whale Safari shows the mother and the baby swimming together around and under the 24-foot boat. Gray whales have been known to give birth along their winter journey from Alaska to Mexico. However, it is very rare for the moment to be captured just like this on camera. Amazing. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.